Welcome to this book review. The book I am going to review is a 2019 publication by Mr. Fogg, and the book, which uses a psychological approach, is entitled Why God is My Only Best Friend. Why God is My Only Best Friend. This is more of a statement than a question. Even before you get to read it, you get the sense of a testimony. From this title, you get the sense of an experience, a journey that someone, in this case Mr. Fogg, has walked and gotten to the conclusion that indeed God is not only a true best friend, but the only one. This book is organized in brief chapters. Brief, not because the message is brief, but brief because it delivers the message straight and to the point. This book is loaded with concrete arguments that are presented in the simplest way possible for every reader to understand. Reading through the pages, one gets the feeling as though you are in an actual conversation with Mr. Fogg, seated under some shade for a soul-to-soul or heart-to-heart conversation. Given that the issues discussed in the book affect men and women from all walks of life, it is definitely a book worthy of time for people of all color, nations, and tribes, irrespective of their social status and religious or non-religious positions. As I sat down to read the book, I actually thought it was a kind of a mirror, because I saw my own image in every personal struggle and experience of life as detailed by Mr. Fogg. Through the 108 pages, the author seeks to unpack the question that has bothered humanity from the very beginning of time, and that is the question of the existence of God. With profound respect to various traditions, cultures, and religious inclinations, the author does not seem to impose his own beliefs or convictions to the reader. Instead, the author shares his own thought process, putting his logic in a creator who is not limited as human beings are limited. Human beings are limited to the knowledge of the past and their present. But because God holds the future, he is not limited. He has the best possible way for all the struggles that people go through. And the author repeatedly uses this phrase, the best possible way, to underscore, to put emphasis in the power of this creator. Oftentimes, people know that their past and present will somehow or certainly affect the future, but they are lost in their ability or lack of ability to control the details of this future. And because of this inability, people all over the world end up feeling helpless, feeling worried, and more often than not, they are deeply buried in anxiety and in fear. Fear of the unknown future. As a matter of fact, a lot of things would change in our daily lives if we all knew exactly what would happen in our lives in the next minute, in the next hour, in the next day, in the next week. If all of us got to know what would happen in our own lives in the next year, in the near or distant future, certainly a lot of things in our lives would take a new dimension. Our thought process and our daily actions would definitely go a new route if only we got to know the details of our future. But like Mr. Fogg puts it, the idea of heaven or hell is a reward by the Creator, is a reward by God Himself, depending on how we go through the various tests of life. One will end up either in hell or in heaven. And because of this, the author presents God as the one who rewards human beings. Simply put, human beings cannot reward God. He is the only one who can reward those that He created, because God Himself was neither born nor created. And just like a plane is flown by one pilot, the author uses this analogy to demonstrate to the reader that there can only be one God, and this God is eternal. This God has no equal among all other creatures. Mr. Fogg presents this creator as a true best friend, one that is readily available to walk through the test of life, to walk through the exam of life, seated right there in the exam room with all the creatures He created in human beings. And because of this, God, who remains a true friend, this God is always there for His people, even when people do not seem to see Him, because He is invisible and He does not show us beforehand exactly what the future holds. Mr. Fogg invites the reader to go through various religious books of choice and allow those books to speak for themselves, rather than being judgmental, rather than judging religion in the eyes of its followers, in the eyes of human beings who are themselves imperfect, only trying to perfect their lives after the image and likeness of their Creator, their best true friend. And as people continue to struggle in finding satisfaction in the physical realm, Mr. Fogg pokes holes in this mindset, demonstrating that true purpose of life is actually eternal. For if God would reward people in this life, if God would allow people to have everything they needed in this life, then the idea of heaven or hell would never make sense. What would be the essence of going to heaven if God was going to provide all we needed in this life? Come to think of it, the author intertwines his own journey in life, reflecting the struggles of literally every living being under the sun, our emotional journey, our enjoyment, the manner in which we deal with anger, jealousy, rules, and sinfulness, the place of repentance for humanity, the need to become ambassadors of good deeds, how overthinking is nothing but a waste of time, the dangers of anxiety and depression, and the need to overcome fear with hope. And rather than blame destiny, Mr. Fogg proposes a new software which comes with a complete set of drivers: promotion of self-love, patience, forgiveness, the need to serve others, and embrace hardship as a test. I would honestly recommend this book to every one of you. Read the book. Look for yourself in each of the chapter as the unforeseen future unfolds in the simplest way you could ever imagine. Thank you.